In this video, we're going to take a look at the top 3 resume mistakes that I constantly see. Specifically, we're going to take a look at one of my older resumes and see how to identify these problems and how to fix them. I'm going to show you plenty of examples so that you can take these lessons and apply them to your resume. The resume you're going to see at the end is actually the same resume that helped me get interviews with Google, Microsoft, General Electric, Boeing, and a couple of different other companies. If you're new here to the channel, my name is Christian Bedoya. I'm a software engineer based in Los Angeles. I've had the pleasure of being on the recruitment team for one of my companies and have seen a lot of the same mistakes. And I wanted to make sure that this video was out there so that people know exactly what to avoid. So without further ado, let's get started. This is one of my older resumes. I'm not going to focus on objectives or spacing or anything like that. I'm going to focus on content and the biggest mistakes I see within them. So the first one I like to point out is that nobody really uses good action verbs anymore. Everyone and their mother uses words like helped, worked, led, and everything that in between. If you really want your resume to stand out, you got to use stronger words. So how do you do that? So let's actually, what we're going to do, we're going to focus on 2 specific sections within the resume. So here are the 2 sections that we're going to work on. So how do you actually make these words pop out? Well, so there's actually this really good website. If you Google Muse resume words, and if you go into the first link that pops up, this website has a list of really good, strong resume words. But what's really unique about this website is that it is broken up into categories. So you'll have words that are all about when you led a project. Then you have words about when you envision and brought a project to life. And then so on and so forth. So really the best way to do this is to think about exactly what you did in your internship or job, whatever it may be, and think about what category does it fit in. So, for example, in this internship, a lot of my main work was improving on some of the scripts that were already in the company and actually helping to fix little bugs here and there. So instead of saying helped out, I'm going to look at the category that says about, let's look at increasing efficiency. I like that. So I'm going to say accelerated. So instead of saying helped out, I'm going to say accelerated the validation process by constructing custom scripts that automated running tests. And really what I'm just going to do now is take all the first words from this sections and use them with words from this list. So let's do that now. So now we've gone ahead and updated all the first words of these sentences with words from that list. So now we have accelerated the validation process, resolved bugs, produced scripts, designed and implemented, rewrote and restructured. And if you were to just scroll back in the video a little bit, you'll see that the difference now is that these words pop out a lot more than what was there before. This is one very simple way to really make your resume stand out. And I highly recommend using this website to help you do it. The second biggest mistake I see is folks don't put the result of their actions in their resume. If you were to get anything out of this video, this is the biggest thing. You want to make sure your resumes talk about what you did, but also the result of what your actions were. Companies are not going to care what you did. Yeah, you might have built some cool system or you might have led a project. But if they don't know how it actually helped out the company, there's no point of you having that interview with them. You want to be able to say what you did and how did the company benefit from that. So let's take a look at some examples for that. Let's take a look at this last line here. I made it blue now just so that we can really focus on it. So what we wrote here is that we produced scripts that consolidated and analyzed data into single reports. That's really great, but that doesn't really tell me how that benefited the company. A lot of what I was doing here is making these reports that then would be used by my engineering leads, and they would be able to make decisions on the project based on this report. So I really can just say something like that. So I'm going to say analyze data into single reports to help engineering leads easily see the current progress made in the project. And boom, that right there is a much more powerful statement. That says, hey, not only can I build a report, but the reports that I build were actually being used by leads and they were actually being able to use them to make decisions. Let's take a look at another example. Let's take a look at this line. So this says, design and implemented a modern system using new production tools. I was doing something very similar here where I was making tools that helped you see how the process was going in the project. And so what I'm going to add to this sentence is say, used in production tools to detect failures in production tools at an earlier stage in production. And so this was the action I took. I was designing and implementing the system, but the result that came out of it was that I was able to help my engineering leads detect failures. If I was an engineering lead or a manager and see this like, whoa, you actually helped your leads to make better progress, I want to hire you. I really want you to help me make more progress than I already am. So as you can see, having simple sentences of action plus result are incredibly powerful in a resume. So the final mistake I wanted to point out is that a lot of folks don't put enough data and numbers in their resume, especially if you're applying for a financial position or some STEM job, whatever it may be. You want to be able to put as many numbers to exemplify your work. And in fact, we're going to take some of the stuff that we learned from the previous tip and apply it to here. So let's take a look back at this sentence again. We already made it very strong, but there's one little bit that we can add to make it even stronger. So we're saying that we're analyzing data. You're always going to be asked, well, like, how much data? Is it a day's worth of data? Is it a month's worth of data? I'm going to say here it was a week's worth of data. And so that allows the interviewer, manager, recruiter see that what you can actually are able to do and be able to have a little bit more concrete information of what your capabilities are. Let's also go back to this sentence right here, where again, it was already pretty strong, but now we're going to add and reduced the task process time by 80%. That right there, the 80 is going to stand out in front of all these words. And so the recruiter is going to look and be able to see, oh, 80, what is this talking about? And then they're going to see this entire sentence. And once they read it, they'll be able to see, wow, okay, I want to get the interview with you. So a word of caution with this, you're going to want to make sure you can back up your data. You don't just put numbers just willy-nilly. You want to be able to make sure that if you get asked about where does that number come from, you're able to talk about it. So in that example I just gave, I put 80% because the task usually would take about half an hour or so to complete. And the script that I developed would run in about 5 or 6 minutes. So if you do the math, that's about 80% increase. So if you take everything that we've covered in just these two sections and apply it to the rest of the resume, so if we zoom out, you're gonna get a resume like this, where we've done every little bit of everything that I just talked about. So we have our resolved, accelerated, and then we also have a section where we incorporated feedback and documented. Again, these are much more powerful words. And again, a lot of the, where here I was incorporating feedback in order to construct a robust model. That is the result of my actions. As well as here, I documented a bunch of stuff, and that was all so that we can provide the engineering groups with a background on the workings of the system. Again, you can say just like I worked on documentation, but if you turn it into something like this, that shows that you did something that was actually going to improve the rest of the team. Now, there are several things that are key factors in to help you get in a job, but the resume is like one of the first key things you need to look at. Once you get your resume in the door, you'll probably get an interview from there. So once you do, please make sure to check out this video where I talk about some of the things that you should need to watch out for during your interview. Hopefully you liked that video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down in the comments below. If you wanted me to talk about something else, just let me know. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.